What the hell is going on?
Mrs. Bodley's been murdered. She's in the cottage to the right.
Mrs. Bodley? But she came to the station. She wanted to talk to you.
When was this?
Oh, a couple of hours ago.
Did you tell her I was here?
Yes. Yes, I'm afraid I did. She said it was important. She refused to talk
What's
to me.
Sue doing here?
Yes, well, that's why we're here. Sue telephoned us. Somebody tried to kill her.
When was this?
About an hour ago. She changed her mind about not meeting you here.
Sue, are you all right?
Yes. Yes, I'm all right. I changed my mind about seeing you. I thought perhaps if we could talk. Martin, someone tried to kill me.
Who was it, Sue?
I don't know. He was waiting for me in the cottage. As soon as I came through the door, he grabbed hold of my scarf and tried to...
All right. Don't worry. Tell me about it later. Wait here, Sue. I'll be back in a few minutes.
Martin, what's happened in there?
Judy Clayton's landlady wanted to see me. She called at the station and Kennedy told her I was here, but unfortunately I was detained at the estate agent's. So someone else must have known that she was going to come here and got here first. Then you came. It wasn't you he was waiting for. It was Mrs. Bodley. Let me get you another drink.
No, I've already had two. I don't want any more. Look, it's past 9. I must be getting home.
Oh, look, so I'm sorry about this. But you know how I work. I like to go through every detail, not once, but half a dozen times. So, will you tell me again what happened?
Well, I got the bus to Stansfield. I walked up to the cottage. When I got to the cottage, I saw the door was open.
Wide open?
Well, wide enough to see into the hall.
Yes, go on.
Naturally, I assumed that it was you that was in the cottage, so I walked in. No, actually, I did have a curious feeling that it wasn't you. Anyway, I was about to call out, "Where are you, Martin?" And the man jumped from behind the door. He grabbed me by the throat. I struggled. I was on the point of passing out, and suddenly he pushed me to one side and ran into the living room.
He'd realised by then you weren't Mrs. Bodley.
I suppose so. I dashed out of the cottage and ran all the way to the call box. 20 minutes later, Harry Kennedy picked me up.
Good, thank you. Now, will you tell me again exactly
Look,
what
Martin,
happened?
I'm sorry. I realise how important it is and I want to help, but it's no use my making things up.
I want you to make things up. Okay. How tall was he?
I don't know.
Well, as tall as me?
I just don't know.
What sort of clothes was
Look,
he
it's no
wearing?
use. I didn't see him. I didn't even get a glimpse of him.
But he got hold of you. So you must have felt his hands. I mean, did you feel his coat? Did you feel his face?
I told you, I don't remember a single thing.
Yes, what is it?
It's just,
Go on.
I think he uses the same aftershave lotion.
As me?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not at all sure. After all, it's a long time.
Is it the same?
You shouldn't have done that.
Is it the same?
Yes, I think it is.
Thank you. Hello, Mr. Norton. How strange. I was trying to get you on the telephone about 20 minutes ago.
Oh, really? I don't get into the office much.
No, I imagine not. I can't imagine anything worse than teaching people how to drive.
Well, your job isn't exactly a sign of you at the moment.
What do you mean, Mrs. Bodley?
Yes. Well, what happened, Inspector?
Oh, it's in the paper, sir.
Yes, I know, but it says here she was strangled.
That's right.
In your cottage.
That's correct, sir.
Well, look, it's none of my business, of course, but do you think this has got anything to do with what happened to Judy Clayton?
Yes, I do, sir. I'll tell you why I wanted to get in touch with you. I'm a shade puzzled about what happened the other night. The night you took Mrs. Walker out to dinner.
What is it you're puzzled about?
Well, I understand that you suddenly decided to make a telephone call.
Yes, that's right.
From your office?
Yes.
Yes, why from your office, sir? Why not from the hotel?
Well, I had a feeling you'd be getting around to that telephone call sooner or later, Inspector. Well, the fact of the matter is, a client of mine, Lady Gallagher, was taking a driving test the following morning, and, well, I suddenly remembered a piece of advice I wanted to give her. I couldn't remember her telephone number, and she's ex-directory, so I had no alternative but to go back to the office.
I see. So I take it that Lady Gallagher was an important client.
Oh, very. And she still is. She failed for the 4th time. It was perhaps a pity you telephoned her, sir.
Morning, Inspector.
Morning, sir. Is Mrs. Walker in?
Yes. You won't find her in a very receptive mood, I'm afraid.
No, thank you. I very rarely find anyone in a receptive mood these days. Is she alone?
That's a good question. No one with her, if that's what you mean. I regret to say Mr. Norton's there in spirit, if not in person.
I'm sorry, Inspector. I don't understand what you're getting at.
Oh, then let me put it to you a different way, Mrs. Walker. When I told you about the note which your husband was supposed to have left...
Supposed to have left?
You seemed surprised. The inference being that you knew nothing about it.
That's right. I did know nothing about it.
Yes, well, that's what I'm getting at. You knew nothing about it, and yet, curiously enough, your fingerprints were on it.
I think you must be mistaken, Inspector. I don't see how my fingerprints could possibly be on the note, and as... Well, I was in a state. I was frightened. I suppose I could have picked up the note without realizing what I was doing.
I think that's probably what happened, yes.
I'm sorry to make things difficult for you, Inspector.
No, not to worry. To tell you the truth, the note didn't convince me anyway.
Why?
Mrs. Walker, may I speak to you quite frankly and in confidence about your husband?
Yes, of course.
In my opinion, Mr. Walker didn't commit suicide. He was murdered. Murdered by the same man as killed Mrs. Bodley.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
Who is this man? Why haven't you arrested him?
Oh, we haven't sufficient proof. Not yet, at any rate. The night your husband was murdered, you had dinner with Mr. Norton at the Bear Hotel.
Yes, that's right, I did.
Now, when I questioned you about that, when I asked you if Mr. Norton...
Oh, I know.
had
I
been
said
with you
Roy was with me the whole evening. I'm sorry. It was only afterwards I remembered he did leave me for half an hour.
to go back to his office and make a telephone call.
Yes.
After he'd made the call, did you notice any difference in him?
Difference in what way?
Well, I mean, did he seem to you to be agitated or depressed? I mean, you tell me.
Well, not that I can recall. I seem to remember that I was the one that was agitated.
Because he'd been away from the table for so long?
Yes. Well, he said he was going to make a telephone call. I naturally assumed he was going to make it from the hotel.
Did you believe his story about going back to the office?
Yes, of course I did.
Yes, it never occurred to you he might possibly have gone somewhere else.
No, where else could he possibly... You're not suggesting he came here to see David?
No, I'm not suggesting anything, Mrs. Walker. I'm just... I shouldn't say this is very unprofessional. But I need your help.
And if I can help, I will, of course, Inspector.
I'd be very grateful if you'd give me some information about someone.
About Mr. Norton?
No, not Mr. Norton. Someone else.
You're in trouble. Inspector Denson's been here. Yes, he's just left. Well, he's onto something. Yes, he did. He asked me quite a lot of things about you. Well, of course I'm worried. Well, that's up to you. I have a hair appointment at 2:30. I could be back here by 4 o'clock. All right. I'll be here.
Hello, Harry. Oh, any messages?
Yes, Chief Superintendent Mailer just phoned. He'd like you to call him back at that number.
Oh, good. Have Bellinger and Taylor arrived?
Yes, they're both waiting in my office.
Tell them I want to see them straight away.
Right.
Hello, Rupert. Martin Denson. I'm sorry I wasn't here when you called. Well, what news have you got? Oh, that's interesting. How long do you think she's known Steen? 6 months, oh, that's not very long. Who introduced them, do you know? Yes, I should think it's a distinct possibility. And not only with Steen. Well, thank you, Rupert. You've been a great help, as usual. Love to join. Harry, are you doing anything this evening?
No, nothing special. Why?
Would you like to drop in for a drink about 7:30? I want to talk to you.
Yes, of course.
Well, how did it go?
Oh, not bad at all. What Cecil Beaton got, we haven't got.
I'll tell you that when I've seen the photographs. Yes, they're good, very good. Except for that. Well, thank you, Bellinger and Taylor.
Reen spot us, I'm afraid, sir.
Yes, well, it can't be helped. Now, you know what to do.
Yes, sir. We've been out to Kingswood. We made a list of every chemist within a radius of 20 miles. There's an awful lot, I'm afraid, sir.
No, that doesn't matter. Check everyone. Have you given them the lipstick?
Yes, I've got the lipstick, sir. Do we show them all the photographs, Inspector?
Show this one first. And if they don't recognize him, show them the others.
Well, I still don't understand why Mrs. Bodley was murdered.
Well, it's my bet she was being blackmailed, and she suddenly decided to tell me all about it. Do you remember that story she told me about David Walker, about seeing him in town with Judy Clayton?
Yes.
I don't think that story was true. I think she was acting under instructions.
Instructions from whom?
From the man who was blackmailing her.
And do you think the same man killed her?
I'm sure he did. I'm equally sure he killed both Judy Clayton and David Walker.
Oh, Judy Clayton I'll go along with, but Walker? Well, that doesn't make sense to me.
Why?
Thank you. Well, if I'd murdered somebody and carefully planted the blame on David Walker, he'd be the very last person I'd want to get rid of.
But aren't you overlooking the fact that Walker apparently committed suicide and left a note confessing to the murder?
Well, yes, I am.
You're up against a very shrewd character. Someone who doesn't take anything for granted. She knew damn well that in spite of the overwhelming evidence, I still wasn't convinced about Walker. And that's why he faked the suicide and planted the note. Anyway, I didn't get you here to talk shop. I want you to do something for me. I've written Sue a letter.
Yes, of course, I'll not trouble.
No. I want you to keep it for the time being. And if anything should happen to me in the next week or so, just give it to her.
What do you mean, if anything should happen to you?
Well, I saw Mrs. Walker this morning and I took a calculated risk. I mean, personally, I think it'll come off. But you know, our business, there's always a chance something unpleasant might happen.
Martin, why the devil do you always have to break every rule in the book?
What book?
Hello, Harry.
Well, Sue, I've been looking for you all over the place.
What is it? Has something happened?
Oh, no, I just wanted to have a chat, that's all.
Come and sit down. Well?
Look, Sue, I know this is none of my business, but I want to talk to you about Martin.
Oh, Harry.
No, look, the Judy Clayton business. Martin has started to play a lone game.
But Martin's always played a lone game. You know that as well as I do. He does precisely what he wants to do. It's one of the reasons we split up. He's single-minded, he's selfish,
Yes,
he's egotistical.
I know he is. But he's been a good friend to me, Sue. And I'd hate to think that anything could happen to him just because I haven't got the guts to... Look, I think Martin knows who murdered Judy Clayton. But since he hasn't enough evidence to make an arrest, he's taking a risk. What he wouldn't dream of taking under normal circumstances. Like if you and he were still together, Sue.
I'm sorry, Harry. I'm afraid I'm not with you.
Look, just do me a favor, talk to him. Try to get the stubborn souls out to realize he's not in business on his own.
But anything that I would say wouldn't have the slightest effect.
Well, I think it would. If I didn't think so, I wouldn't be here.
You said a minute ago that you'd hate to think of anything happening to him. What could happen?
Well, what happened to Judy Clayton, to Mrs. Botley? What very nearly happened to you. Look, if this man thinks that Martin's got some information that he's fool enough to keep to himself, well, he won't hesitate to strike.
But Martin himself must realize that.
Well, that's the risk he's prepared to take.
Well, what do you want me to do?
Look, I've told you what you can do. You can talk to him. Look, he gave me this letter. It's for you. He asked me to give it to you if anything should happen to him. Well, I think for his sake, as well as for yours, you should read that now. Tear me apart for this. Good luck, Sue. Or if Martin gets difficult and there's a punch-up, just give us a shout.
I'll phone you tomorrow, Harry. Tell you how it went.
Thanks, Bill.
to murder Harry Kennedy for giving you that letter.
Well, if he hadn't have done, I wouldn't have come when I did.
No, I realise that. It's just I didn't want...
You didn't want me to know what you really felt about me. At least, not until you were dead.
Oh, no, it isn't that. It's just... Well, in a way... Oh, hell.
Best thing you can do is go to bed.
No, I don't want to go to bed.
Now, come on, please,
no, stop
Martin.
fussing, Sue. You're all right.
Martin, why did that man try to kill you?
He was paid to kill me
By whom?
by the man that murdered Judy Clayton. And I have a pretty shrewd idea who that is. This morning, I implied to Evelyn Walker that I knew.
Why did you do that?
Can't you guess?
You mean she must know who the killer is, and you hope she might try and tip him off? But why Evelyn Walker?
The other evening you said, I always have the feeling she's not quite what she seems to be.
Did I say that?
Yes, and you were right. Roy Norton isn't the only character she's been jumping into bed with. She's been having an affair with a man called Jack Steen.
Jack Steen? But he's a friend of Mr. Eastwood's. I've met him. He was in the office a few days ago.
Yes, I know. God, I'd like to get my hands on whoever that was. Do you think you'd recognize him again? If we showed you some photographs, could you pick him out?
I could try.
Excuse me, sir. Sergeant Bellinger's arrived. He's in your office.
Oh, thank you, Tompkins. I'll be back in a minute, Sue. Keep looking. Well, Bellinger?
Oh, a bit of luck, sir. I just left a young chap called Arthur Granger. He's got a chemist shop about a quarter of a mile from where Walker's car broke down. Well, I showed him our friend's photograph, sir. He thinks he served him.
He thinks?
Yes.
But he's not sure.
Well, I think he's sure, sir, but he doesn't want to be involved.
Oh, to hell with that.
He said, if it is the same man, sir, he bought a packet of razor blades, some aftershave, and a lipstick.
This Arthur Granger remembers a lipstick.
Yes, the man made a crack about it. Something to do with his girlfriend.
Good. And the aftershave, what kind was it?
I don't know, sir. I didn't ask.
Well, you should have done.
You didn't mention anything about aftershave, sir. You merely said the lipstick.
Go back and ask him. And find out if it was called Sundown. It was made by Timbers, the soap people. Good God.
Excuse me, sir, but Colonel Reams is here. I'd like to have a word.
No, what about it?
Oh, I don't know, sir. He didn't say.
Can you tell him I'm tied up?
Well, I'll talk to him if you like.
Oh, come in, sir. Thank you, Harry.
Good of you to see me, Inspector.
Do sit down. Now, what can I do for you?
Well, I thought you might like to know that yesterday afternoon I called at my local garage. The man who owns it, a chap called Aldridge, was talking about Tom. He was a friend of Tom's and of Ruth Jensen's, too. Well, he said that Tom popped in to see him a couple of days before he was killed, and they had what obviously amounted to a row.
About what? Do sit down.
About Tom's car. Tom said he was going to sell it to Ruth, and Aldridge told him it was a pretty rotten trick.
Now, why should he say that?
Well, because apparently, although the car looked all right, it was practically a write-off.
I see. In other words, you think that explains what Ruth was doing in the car?
Well, yes, but it also explains the accident.
You mean Tom was taking her for a trial run and was showing off the car?
Well, knowing Tom, showing off, period, yes.
Well, that sounds a likely explanation, I must admit. Well, thank you, Colonel. It was kind of you to put me in the picture.
Well, I thought it was the least I could do after what I did the other day.
Excuse me, sir, but Sue, Mrs. Denson, would you like to see her, sir?
Oh, any luck?
Oh, I think so, sir. She's,
Well, thank you, Colonel. We'll be in touch.
What do you think, Martin?
Yes, that's him. That's him, all right. Thank you.
His name's Pike, sir.
Do you know him?
oh, I know, he's a vicious little devil.
Yes, he was accused of attacking and robbing an old lady in Surbiton about 6 months ago.
Yes, but he was acquitted, so we couldn't make it stick.
We'll have him picked up, Harry. We'll make this one stick.
Got you some sweets, Wally. They never had any choc ices.
Sir,
Anyone been?
an old fella selling brushes told him you didn't want one.
Good boy.
And the coppers are here.
The police?
Yeah, they've just come. You can see them in the field.
Get out of the way!
We're looking for Mr. Pike. Have you seen him?
Oh, it's been one of those mornings. The phone never stopped ringing. Oh, did you ring earlier? Somebody.
Yes, I did. I had a word with Mr. Eastwood.
Mr. Eastwood?
Yes, I wanted to see him. But I've changed my mind. I'm not going to see him after all. Now, what would you like to eat?
Oh, let's have the drink first and then order later.
All right.
How's the head now?
Oh, it's okay, thank you.
Did you pick up Pike?
No, that's a sore point. Ah, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Cheers.
Well, what do you want to talk to me about?
I want you to do something for me. Now, you don't have to, of course, if you don't want to.
What do you want me to do?
You remember what I told you the other night about Judy Clayton?
You said you knew who her killer was.
Well, I said I had a shrewd idea.
Well?
I want to frighten him into making one more mistake. And I think I can do it if you're willing to help me.
Yeah, well, I hope you're right, but I've had it a month now and I'm still not used to it. Wish I hadn't just stuck to the old gear lever.
You're just an old-fashioned square, Andy.
No, it's just that I find it so damned awkward not using my left foot all the time.
You'll soon get used to it.
Yes, well, if I don't, I'll flog the damn thing.
Excuse me, Mr. Mason. You want it on the telephone?
Oh, who is it, Olive?
I think it's your sister.
Okay, thank you. I'll see you later.
Has he been boring about his car again?
Seems to be having a little difficulty getting used to it.
Trust me, you never will get used to it. It's just not mechanically minded.
Not a question of being mechanically minded, Olive.
Hello? Hey, hello, Evelyn. What is it you want?
What happens when you take the test, then?
What do you mean?
I mean, can you take it with an automatic?
Of course you can. I believe there's some sort of special
Good evening,
arrangement.
Mr. Eastwood.
Hello, Sue. Well, I didn't expect to see you here. I'm meeting your husband in a few minutes.
I know, I'm afraid he can't make it. He tried to get hold of you and, well, as a last resort, he telephoned me.
Oh, I see. Well, I must say I was a little surprised when he suggested meeting him here. I asked him back to the office, but he didn't seem to want to do that. Would you like a drink?
Oh, could I have a gin and tonic, please?
Of course, gin and tonic, please, Ollie.
And ice?
Yes, please.
Here we are.
Thank you.
You've no idea why the inspector wants to see me, I suppose.
No, I should imagine it's something to do with the Judy Clayton affair.
Well, I have a feeling that he and I think alike about that. In fact, I'm sure we do.
Well, Martin's convinced that whoever murdered Judy Clayton also killed Mr. Warner.
So am I.
He's also convinced that it won't be long now before they make an arrest.
Is he? Well, that's certainly good news. I sincerely hope he's right.
And so do I. Martin's always a bit optimistic.
Yes, but surely he must have grounds for his optimism.
Something to do with a photograph and Judy Clayton's lipstick.
Photograph?
I don't know. Apparently somebody took a photograph. The police showed it to a chemist, and the chemist decided that...
Photograph of what?
A man. A suspect, I presume.
I see. Go on.
That's all.
You were going to say something about the chemist.
Well, apparently the chemist recognised the man.
No idea who he is, I suppose.
No, I'm afraid I haven't. Well, Martin didn't say him. Well, naturally he wouldn't.
No, of course
Good evening. Is Mr. Mason about, Olive?
Yes, he's in his office, Mr. Norton.
Would you tell him I want a word with him? I'll be over there, and bring me a large scotch. There's this with you.
Right away.
You're going back to Gilfleet?
No, I'm calling at the cottage.
Oh, Mr. Norton wants a word with you.
Yes, I know. I heard him say so.
How long have we been here?
Only a few minutes. Mr. Eastwood brought me.
How did it go?
Fine. At least I think so. I did exactly what you said.
Thank you. I'm very grateful.
Martin, I'm sure he heard us. When he came out the office, he couldn't take his eyes off me.
Good. Splendid. Now let's get back to the flat.
Would you like another cup?
Yes, please.
Martin,
Hmm.
can I ask you something?
Hmm.
What do you think's going to happen?
About what?
Oh, Andy Mason.
Oh, it's difficult to say. I'm hoping after overhearing your conversation last night that he'll panic and contact Pike again. And that was the point of the operation. In which case, of course, we'll pick them both up.
Well, how will that help you?
Well, obviously, if Pike talks, our troubles are over.
What if Andy Mason decides not to contact Pike and to make a dash for it?
And we'll simply have to arrest him and take a chance with the evidence we've already got.
I see. When did you first realize that he was involved with all this?
When the camera was found in Judy Clayton's room. Because don't forget, we only heard the story about the camera being lost from Andy and his sister, no one else.
So right from the beginning, he intended to murder Judy Clayton and then incriminated her own brother-in-law.
Right.
Why David Walker? I always thought he was quite fond of him.
That's the impression he gave everyone. However, let me tell you what, in my opinion, actually happened. Andy Mason was having an affair with Judy Clayton. She became difficult, so he made up his mind that, given the right opportunity, he'd get rid of her. Then one day he heard that David was driving up north, and God knows how he talked Judy into hitching a lift from him. Mason followed the Rolls Royce. It ran out of petrol, so David had to walk back to the garage, leaving Judy alone in the car. Mason got her away from the car, strangled her, hid the body in a ditch, and left a note on the windscreen.
Presumably written with Judy's lipstick.
Right. Of course, he knew damn well that at a later date we'd discover it wasn't her lipstick. Jumped to the conclusion that David had faked the note, and from that moment onwards...
You'll never believe another word that David Walker said. Are you expecting anyone?
Probably the post.
Now let me go.
No, you stay there.
Who is it?
It's Harry.
Come in, Harry.
No soup.
Oh, you're just in time for a decent cup of... Oh, what is it?
Andy Mason's dead.
Dead?
Yes. He was killed in a car accident. Apparently he bought a new car about a month ago. One with an automatic gear change, and according to all accounts, he packed his bags into his car and he left the Grapevine just before midnight. 2 of our men went with him. Kenyon followed him as far as Staines, and then... whether he got wind of what was happening or not, I don't know.
They lost him?
Yes. So when he drove like a madman, he went completely berserk.
Yes, go on, Harry, go on.
We had a call from Windsor at about 3:45. Apparently his car went off the road about 6 miles this side of Reading. He was killed instantly because his car hit a pylon and he was battered to pieces. Now, Kenyon, he's a pretty tough customer, but he says he's never seen anybody in such a terrible mess. God knows what speed he was doing. Well, if he hadn't hit the pylon, he'd have finished up in the river.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. We'll be getting in touch with you again later. I'm off now.
Sorry, sir. Oh, how'd you get on with Mrs. Walker?
Oh, she switched on the tears. I just couldn't take it anymore. Not today, anyway. What's after reading?
It's a list of the stuff Andy Mason had on him. They just sent it through from Reading.
Well, they're certainly gone to town.
Yes, I think they're trying to impress us.
Yeah. I'll be a bit late tomorrow morning. I'm taking Sue out to the cottage.
What is it? What is it?
There's something missing.
Missing? What do you mean?
Put yourself in Andy Mason's shoes for a moment. You're in a tight corner, and you suddenly decide to make a dash for it.
Well?
What would be the first thing you'd think of to take with you?
My wife.
Yes, but Andy Mason hasn't a wife. What next?
Well, I don't know. I can't imagine.
Well, think.
Well, I suppose I'd, my passport?
Right. But it's not mentioned. So, it wasn't in his pockets, it wasn't in his baggage, and it wasn't in the car.
Well, you're right. That's damn funny. I hardly think he'd forget his passport.
He didn't forget his passport. No, he didn't forget his pilot's license either.
What do you mean?
I don't believe it was Andy Mason that was killed.
What?
Now, you said yourself his face was so badly battered it was unrecognisable.
Yes, but we saw him leave the grapevine. 2 of our men followed him.
Yes, and then lost him. Do you know what I think? I think he had a body in that car.
A body?
Yes. And that's why he went berserk and drove like a madman.
What, do you mean you think he deliberately crashed his car and substituted somebody else?
Yes. Mine.
Yes, but who? Whose body? I mean, if it wasn't Andy Mason, who the hell was it?
I'll give you one guess. Just one guess, Harry, my boy.
Pike.
Get those flaming animals out of the way! How long is this going to take?
Probably halfway to France by now.
You telephoned the airfield, didn't you?
Yes.
I don't suppose they'll let it get very far. I don't believe it.
Oh, hang on.